And it makes my blood boil, and I'm sure many of you, that the national news is broken into with breaking news that 4, 5 Israelis have been cruelly murdered in Jerusalem. We took some colloquial, anecdotal evidence amongst around 50 people in the course of the week. 80% of those people were able to identify the attack in the synagogue in West Jerusalem this week as an act of killing that took place in the Holy Land, but 80% of them couldn't name not a single example of Israeli attacks on Palestinians. There had been one the very day before, the one day before, in the same city of Jerusalem, in which a Palestinian bus driver was tortured and hanged by settlers from the back of his bus, just the day before. But virtually nobody, incidentally, except those watching Press TV and a handful of other stations like it, nobody even knew that it happened. You see, people can understand tit for tat, but if they don't know who's responding, retaliating to what, then it just looks like a one-sided onslaught by Palestinians against Israelis. The New York Times nearly confused them there. One of the world's most famous newspapers touched new depths in its coverage of the events that took place in the synagogue the other day. For the New York Times, there had been no murder of the bus driver the day before. For the New York Times, there had been no repeated attacks on mosques, even the Al-Aqsa Mosque, over the preceding few weeks. For the New York Times, there was none of that. There was only the attack in the synagogue. I don't know what we can do, Ali, other than continue to fight for people to watch and read alternative media. Because anybody who got their news from the New York Times would have put their newspaper down, seething with anger at the apparent savagery if thousands of people can be killed and utterly ignored, but 4 people, when they get killed, are the top of the news for days. We now know the names of every single rabbi who was killed in that synagogue. We've heard their relatives be interviewed. Cameras have been outside of their homes, both there and the homes they had in England and in the United States. But nobody knows the name of the bus driver who was lynched, as Robert put it, just the day before. The miracle is not that what happened in this mosque was so horrific, in this synagogue rather, was so horrific. The miracle is that these things are not happening every single day. Because what can you say about the patience of a people whose country has been stolen? It's being said by prominent people in the United States that Palestine never actually existed, which means these people are not Palestinian, because there never was a Palestine. What are they? They're just some kind of mongrel, general Arab. That is the calumny, the libel, the blood libel.
Let me tell you that just a couple of years ago in Jordan I met and had lunch with a 94-year-old man in a house on the top of a hill from which you could see Palestine, Lebanon, Syria. I said to him, "You're 94, that means you were alive before these countries existed. What did you call yourself when you were young?" He was astonished. Hadn't thought of that before. Finally he answered, "We were Arabs."